I can't afford a $10,000 Birkin. Um, maybe I could. I don't want to. Anyway, it's just
Wow. I'm
I don't want.
sorry. That's like the most obnoxious flex yet.
No, no, no. I'm not saying I have $10,000 laying around. It's one of those things like
Maybe I could. Don't want to. I might just, light it on fire, that 10K.
welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged.
Where the characters are as quirky as the finds.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Jake.
Join us as we dive into the wild world of garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, and anywhere secondhand sales are happening.
From bizarre bargains to hilarious haggles.
You won't believe the stories we've got lined up.
Let's get unhinged. Welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged, the only podcast with certain rooms taped off that you may not enter. I'm Jake, and this is Julie, whose voice you're hearing now.
Yellow. I'm trying to. Why would people not go into a room? Why were we taping it off? Who died?
Well, if you've gone to garage sales or estate sales, when you go like in the house, sometimes some rooms are not accessible, and so they're
Do you ever like imagine what's in those rooms? Like, why is it not accessible? What's in there? Why I want to see it.
yeah. Oh, it's never less than R rated for me. Yeah.
I always like, is it the old person in there on like the oxygen, like in the hospital bed on the oxygen tubes? Or is that where they have like they're growing all their weed and it's like, don't go in there?
Yeah. 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 It's like, man, if your goal is to make money here, that's like the only room to take people to. But
Well, hey yo. Yeah, I always wonder, I'm like, can you like, please do not enter and then just put underneath it like hole in the floor? Just give me a reason as to why I shouldn't go in there. Like right now, my mind, I can't focus on your China hutch because I'm thinking about what's behind door number one that I can't go in.
so you're one of those people that, you if they didn't do that, you'd actually focus on the sale. The fact that they did do that, you're like, why?
Yeah.
Is that where the secret code is?
Yeah. Cause then I'm going to like start walking around the house and counting the windows and be like, this is the room. I got to see what's in it.
This is
And
where they keep the beautiful bean footage.
is that a Bush's baked beans reference?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Not sponsored by them, but we could be.
We could be. You know, uh, are you familiar, Julie, with something called the Workin bag?
The spell it for me.
Wirkin. The Workin.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you
That's
know
like
about it?
the isn't that the Walmart Birkin knockoff bag?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, could you like in case listeners don't know it, could you kind of give the quick rundown on what that is, what that was?
Yeah, so, the brand Hermes has a legendary bag called the Birkin that starts off at 10 grand, and they are, 1, very hard to get access to. You have to get on a wait list, and even then, you may not get it right away. Um, it is a very nice, very beautiful bag, but because they are in such high demand and you can't get access to them, Walmart was selling a knockoff version of it. Didn't have the Birkin logo on it, of course, but people were calling it the Workin because it looks like a Birkin bag from afar, and people were going to the store clamoring for them.
Yeah, that's nutshell. And the things weren't going for more than $100.
I should also clarify, I'm not a shopper. I do not like shopping. I know we have a whole podcast around secondhand sales and resale shopping. I don't like shopping, but this type of story, I do love sensationalism, which is why we have a podcast. Um, but this whole story, whenever I saw it on the news a long time ago, it was like, "Ugh, how is Walmart getting away with doing this type of thing?" So yeah, I love it. It was hilarious.
I don't know whether Hermes actually, or the company that owns Hermes actually, pursued legal action, but enough stink, was raised that yeah, that you're not gonna buy Workins no more from Walmart because big no.
Well, I think Hermes owns Hermes.
I don't know. Every man, I just kind of assume that every company's owned by some other company that you might not have heard of. Like everything's a holding company for something else. It's all a big nesting doll of filth.
Well, okay, so since we're on this subject, let me give you my knowledge about the Hermes brand. Um, and Jacob's drinking a coffee and he just put his little pinky up. So yes, it is that type of episode. Um, there was I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or CBS Sunday Morning, something like that, but they did a story on the Hermes brand and they showed the artisans making bags and stuff like that. They so one, their artisans are trained, they actually go through apprenticeship. They work in like it's in the lovely village of France, and I was going, "Oh my god, they're probably having wine and cheese and baguettes and stuff like, oh yeah, that's just in the break
These
room."
luxury bags come with all sorts of crumbs and stains in them. It's just the best.
Well, I mean, the amount of detail that goes into their products is amazing, and um, they also don't put like a quota on their artisans. So the artisans are actually able to work at their pace. And that's the reason why you have long wait times for a lot of their products is because they're not going to try to rush it. And yeah, they are going to charge $10,000 for their product because the quality's in it. Um, but yeah, it was actually an interesting story. And I hadn't really thought of their brand and their products in such a way like everything is handmade, everything is quality controlled by a individual. They have I don't know how many they actually have, but in the story that I was watching, I think there may have been like maybe 8 people in the studio that day working on different products, and some of those people have been there for decades, and they worked on just one type of product, and so, like, they are a master at what they do, and, like, Hermes pays them well, but again, you don't rush a masterpiece, so they don't rush their people, and it's just, you know, deal with it or don't. Our bag's not gonna get to you any faster, and a part of me is going, "Heck yeah, I love that mentality."
Well, I noticed like in the last few moments here, like you've consistently used the word artisan when you're describing the people making these things.
Yes.
And like I guess, from what you're saying is like that makes sense. You're dealing with an actual crafts person.
Yeah.
That is actually like doing the thing, and they come with all of this historical knowledge and deep training. So artisan makes a lot of sense. You don't really hear that term
Well,
much
I think of
anymore.
it of, like, grandmothers that make quilts and, like, really good quilts. They're an artisan. Like, they've been doing that for decades. They know what they're doing. Like, the stitching's gonna last forever. And, like, if I put together a quilt, I'm not gonna call myself an artisan. That is a hobbyist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that might be the more generous way to describe uh, those who make bags for less reputable companies. These are the these are the hobbyists. Our hobbyists, start work at 4 years old, and we tend to run through them around 12.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing of, no, I'm not gonna try to I'm not degrading this. It's just fact of, I worked in the restaurant industry for several years. You have, line cooks, you have cooks, you have sous chef, and you have chefs. And in the restaurant that I managed, we had cooks. They were not the people making up the recipes and the dishes and deciding the menu that was held at corporate. And then, I go to restaurants where they have the chefs and the sous chefs, and they are hoity-toity, but man, that food is delicious and
Yeah,
different and all that stuff. So, and also, I'm not going to be able to buy it frozen at the grocery store.
I think that's like a pretty good corollary you made there. It's like what you're describing. If it's like Cheesecake Factory or something, the guy that the folks doing the cooking back there, they're more like assemblers.
Yeah,
They've been given the ingredients and the instructions, and they're competent enough to pull off this thing consistently. They're assembling the meal. As far as devising it, somebody else.
yeah,
So a lot of what you see in kind of more mass produced luxury goods like bags, a lot of what you're seeing are they come from assemblers.
yeah,
Here's how you make this thing, and you're going to make this many of them. Like you mentioned, an important quota being a driving thing. Whereas these crazy bags that start at 10,000, sometimes some of these things cost the same as a house.
yeah.
It it's mind-boggling. Not that it I understand these things aren't for me. I'm not the kind of person these things are for. Um, so it still doesn't justify the price in my mind, but I do understand what you're saying, that this is essentially one of a kind. And it's not just special that it's one of a kind. It's that you had a dedicated, you have the benefit of decades of knowledge,
Yeah. Well,
imbued in this thing. Right.
yeah, and I'm gonna connect like um I think Walmart products are mass produced, factory produced, similar to uh, let's say food from McDonald's. It is made for the masses. Honestly, some of the stuff well, not some of it, a lot of it is actually made by machines.
Yeah.
Like you drop the fries, something is counting it down. You're not watching the fries to see like when is it at peak crispiness. No, Roger is in the back and he's high as a kite. He's not watching the fries. Um, so it's that same level of mass production and almost like factory production, so that you can make something for cheap and sell a lot of it to a bunch of people, but it's not necessarily high quality or lasting product.
Makes sense.
Are you planning a garage sale, yard sale, or estate sale and need some help? Look no further than Garage Sale Supply. They provide top notch resources and expert advice to help you host the perfect sale. From pricing tips to promotional strategies, they've got you covered. Visit GarageSaleSupply.com and make your next sale a success.
You know, so that's the Workin bag, the legend of the Workin.
Yep.
Um, so the next step I'll take here today kind of ties back to something you said, when you were describing the whole working story. You said like you're not a shopper. You don't like to shop.
Yep. True.
Uh, so let me ask you to think of a different form of shopping, okay?
Okey-doke.
Grocery shopping.
Yes.
Not clothing and handbags and stuff like that. Grocery shopping. Where do you do your grocery shopping?
Okay. So I think we've mentioned before, I live in the Dallas area, in the suburb I live in within a 2-mile radius. You asked a very simple question. I'm giving a very elaborate answer.
I know this is already painful.
Within a 2-mile radius, I have like 7 or 8 grocery stores I can go to. South Dallas is a food desert, and it kind of like irks me that, just 45 minutes south of me, people don't have the kind of access that I have to fresh produce and groceries and stuff like that. That is for a whole other podcast show, but like irks me.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say that now that I have access to these different things, you asked where do I go shopping? It depends on what I'm getting. So I was actually coming home today from being away for the weekend and I needed to stop and get some groceries. I had dinner at a friend's house last week. Her daughter's future in laws were in town from Italy and they made us this amazing pasta dish. And so I wanted to recreate it for my husband today. So I stopped at a specialty store to get everything that I needed.
Can I just
Uh,
laugh real quick? Because you said pasta dish and just instinctively your hand came up in the pinched fingers thing. You did like the pasta hand motion.
yeah.
Like
Well, 'cause
you're trying really hard for a speaking role in The Sopranos, and it's just not gonna happen.
Uh, I don't think I could do a speaking role. I don't think I have the accent for it, so I'd be the mute person that would just break knees. That's gonna be my role in The Sopranos, so there you go.
Julie
Um,
Wallace. Yeah.
so I stopped at a specialty store to get things. So one of the things that we had at this meal was, sauteed calamari. I don't really wanna get I don't wanna get fresh canned, but also I wouldn't get calamari from, like, Aldi, and Aldi I can actually walk to from my house. There are some things that I like to get at Aldi that I can't get at other stores, um, but for the most part, I go to, like, I'm gonna say run of the mill grocery store, like a Market Street, Tom Thumb.
Right. One of the big chains. Yeah.
Yeah, and I usually get stuff there, but if I'm making my husband a nice meal today, I went to the specialty store to get my fresh squid and, get some other things that I needed to make for my meal. I also
Yeah,
like to go to
so
Aldi for a couple things, but
depending on what's going on, you got your guy. You got your
well,
produce guy. You've got your here's my toilet paper guy. I've got my
Costco is our toilet paper guy.
right.
Well, and so here's the thing. My husband will tend to order. We don't do produce through like the like online ordering that you can go pick up at the grocery store, but he'll order sundries and stuff like that, pantry items from Walmart, and he goes and picks it up. I refuse to shop at Walmart, so
Go into that. Why?
I don't think Walmart treats their employees very well. They make a lot of profit, and I don't think that that profit gets filtered down to the employees that help generate that revenue.
I think you're probably right.
Also, our mom used to work for Walmart, and I remember some of the horror stories that she told us from back in the day. And so, like, I'm a little bit jaded, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to support them.
I was actually preparing for us to talk today, and that's one of the things I wrote down. I was like, "Oh yeah, mom used to work at Walmart. That was cool because we didn't."
Well, and that was she worked at the Walmart before Walmart's became 24 hours. And so if I'm going to air some dirty laundry of Walmart from back in the day, mom and her coworkers used to be locked into the store by management to make sure everything was cleaned before they left for the day.
Wow, that sounds pretty ethical and legal.
And I don't think they were paid for cleaning hours.
Wow.
I know. So like again, the whole conglomerate was built on the backs of people like our mom, and I'm like, I just can't. A working interesting topic, interesting story. Ain't buying that purse.
It's tough because like it's hard to find. I mean, the larger the company you look at, the more likely you're going to find situations like that, and so it's tough to find alternatives that you can feel more thoroughly comfortable with.
Yeah, and even
Uh,
though, like I said, "Hey, I shop at Tom Thumb, shop at Market Street," we may have somebody call into the show and be like, "Hey, they do the same thing."
oh yeah, totally, totally. Uh, I asked the question because like the two topics are actually kind of connected at some point, which I tend to do. I notice that I bring a topic and then I go a totally different direction, and then I try to defork it. I try to bring it together in the middle somewhere in a grotesque display. But
We we consistently go off the rails and somehow get back on the rails, and it is magic every single time it happens.
every time it's yeah. So in this one, here's the headline. Okay. So you might have heard already, but Walmart is reselling, I should say, luxury bags now. Now, it might be one story to say, hey, now Walmart is offering luxury items. That'd be noteworthy. It's noteworthy for us in that they are reselling it. So the headline is that Walmart's selling Chanel, Fendi, Prada, Louis Vuitton bags and other luxury items, uh, not in store but online.
Interesting.
So, well, yes. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Sorry, I read an article this weekend that I resent to myself because I was like, "Hey, this would be a good conversation for the podcast," and I need to dig more into the technology that because other companies are doing similar things,
Mhm.
and there is a consistent platform that they're all using. And so I'm not going to give the platform name because I'm going to have to actually go do a little bit of research on it. But I think they're all using the same platform to do resell to their customer base of products that you could essentially buy on Poshmark.
Right. So to kind of set the table on this a little bit, Walmart's doing well. Uh, More people are shopping there, especially more affluent people. So some of Walmart's bigger gains, like they're getting more customers, and some of the customers they grew the most here recently were folks that live in households that make more than 100 grand a year. So more affluent customers are starting to show up. The
But
reason,
hold on. Is that because of current economic conditions and those households are wanting to save money and that's why they're going to shop at Walmart?
if you want to believe, the company's PR schmaltz, yeah, that's part of it. Is like, things are what they are, and it's always time for a good deal at which you can find at Walmart, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's part of it.
So this is also like, okay, what is the news media feeding you of like the economy is going in the trash and more families are shopping at Walmart, even affluent families are shopping at Walmart? Or do you flip it around and going, Walmart has such great stuff that even affluent families are shopping here?
So that's there's certainly an angle that Walmart would love for you to, believe, right?
Yeah.
The truth is too, it's not just that, the perception that eggs are cheaper at Walmart compared to Whole Foods. In looking at this topic, I actually looked at some stuff, and no, there's some staple stuff like getting a gallon of milk at Whole Foods is actually cheaper than Walmart.
Mhm.
Uh, but the perception is that you'll get a better deal on your everyday stuff here as opposed to there. It is very much a chicken and egg thing.
Eggs are too expensive, so egg substitute.
Right? Stuff like that. But they know that the trick, like the economy got different sets of customers in the doors at Walmart,
Yeah.
and they're buying the groceries there. The real money for them is to get those people to go into other parts of the store, and you're probably not going to do that with the stuff that you tend to offer. So they have made some changes to some of the stuff that you might find in the clothing and the home goods and stuff like that, and it's shown some effect. Those more affluent customers are starting to purchase. Like they come for the frozen enchiladas, stay for the easy install bidet attachment. That's what's happening.
Okay.
So there's generally here's
Wait,
another data point.
can I just ask, did you pull that out of your head of like you went from enchiladas to bidet? Is there a correlation between that?
I didn't pull that out of my head, Julie. So analysts with a research firm called Global Data uh, point to a few things here. Yeah, prices are part of the driving factor here. A more sophisticated set of products than you might have usually expected to see at Walmart, and a comparatively nicer in-store experience than before.
Hmm.
Uh, I think Walmart's invested a whole bunch in helping to encourage less of a stigma around shopping at the big blue behemoth. And people, people that don't dig the store experience have more and more ability to do curbside pickup.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
honestly what my husband does is he places the order and then sits in his car, lets them put the groceries in the back, and he never has to go in.
right. It's and that is kind of the thing. It's just like whether it's like you don't want to say, you don't want to feel like you shop at certain places, and so going about it that way helps you kind of work around it. You
Yeah.
go like, hey, cool, I can kind of like this is more at peace with my ethical qualms. If I don't go in there, it doesn't really count. Uh,
Right.
that kind of thing. And two, it's like, hey, like I don't like this part of town. I'm just doing it this way. Or I've got, three toddlers in the car. People got their reasons, but
Right.
that's part of the growth. So Walmart is teaming with a company called Rebag.
Okay.
Rebag is a reseller of luxury goods, jewelry, bags, obviously given the name, watches, stuff like that. And they're offering, something like 25,000 pre-owned high-end items in their online marketplace. Amazon did something similar to this. They also, yeah, they teamed with a different group, and they have something creatively called the Shop, uh, which is really fun. I like, I like the kind of the branding around that because they're trying to, I figure, capture the kind of the aesthetic of a brick and mortar experience in that it's austere and understated. And so the best they can do online is to be very understated in the naming of it. It's just the shop.
Well, okay, so Here's the other thing. You said that, and I was like, "Wait, I already know that there's something else called The Shop." LeBron James has a HBO show called The Shop,
Well, that's
and
fine.
his is so much better, but, like, I actually really like that show because it's just a bunch of folks sitting around a barber shop as they're getting haircuts and talking about random topics. It's really well done, but, like, also, did Walmart steal that from them?
No, no, probably not.
I mean, I know LeBron listens to this show. Hey, LeBron, I think you got a plausible lawsuit for trademark infringement.
So yeah, LeBron, we really feel your pain financially. You know, the money you could be making. Um, we know it's been rough, man. Sorry.
Hey, he's gonna have to retire someday.
So this is just part of finding uh previously owned items through a Walmart website or an Amazon website. All this really is just part of the e-commerce fight among the bigs out there. Um, what I'm interested in about this is that this kind of marks one. Okay, there's the topic of less stigma. More affluent people are shopping at Walmart for a host of reasons, and now they're shopping deeper into Walmart for different reasons. And now that they're familiar with shopping there, the thinking is that, okay, now you'll want to engage with us online as well to buy these, what were $10,000 bags for $6,000 or something like that. And so the idea around less stigma around secondhand luxury.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, does you know a resold luxury item is theoretically, you're not paying retail for it. You're not paying the original price.
Right.
Comparatively, it's a more accessible price. So I'm wondering, does accessibility defeat the purpose of luxury?
Well, I mean, I will say this, whenever I think of luxury items, I think of high quality. And if I have more access to high quality, then that's awesome. Because I think of especially in the, let's say, the purse market. Um, we started talking about Birkins. One, I can't afford a $10,000 Birkin. Um, maybe I could. I don't want to. Anyway, that's just
Wow. I'm
I don't want.
sorry. That's like the most obnoxious flex yet.
No, no, no. I'm not saying I have $10,000 laying around. It's one of those things like,
Maybe I could, don't want to, I might just, light it on fire, that 10K. It's
well, I
fine.
think about it of like I said I couldn't afford it, but let's say I sold my car and could I get a $10,000 Birkin? Yes, I could. But then I don't have a car and I need a car. um, so it's the trade-off of like I don't really need that. Anyway, going back to whatever I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Like then the secondhand sale market, to get a Birkin in the secondhand sale market, very rare
Mhm.
because you have to know someone who's had it. It has to maybe show up in an estate sale. Most estate sales, they know what they got. You ain't buying a Birkin. They've already sent it to a consignment store. That consignment store hasn't even put it out on the shelf because they have a customer that has been going, hey, second you get a Birkin, you call me, I'll pay whatever you want for it.
Yeah.
And so if you have a market that is able to resell luxury goods, and I think part of it is authenticating it. And that's the part where, like, do I really put my trust into Walmart to authenticate luxury items? Because I do not associate the Walmart brand with luxury. And do they have the staff that can actually make this new piece of the business work?
Well, and here's the thing. This is why they've teamed with a third party that does this sort of thing. Now, like if you've got a luxury bag that you want to offload, you could work with Rebag yourself and they'll take a consignment. They do that work. But your point is valid. People don't associate the Walmart brand with luxury. And Walmart is trying to nudge that perception, not only like through their, various outreach to the more affluent customer by updating some of what they carry in store. So they're trying to do that. You're not going to go into a Walmart and have the option to purchase these things. It's strictly online. And
Right.
it's interesting if you did want to look up what the online experience is like, when you're looking at these Rebag offered bags,
Mhm.
how it compares to just the regular Walmart website. Like
Well
the UX design is speaking to a different customer.
so part of me is going, again, I don't associate the Walmart brand with this luxury item. And then
Mhm.
I started thinking about, well, I'm sure Walmart has done it before and I'm just not aware of it. But you essentially just create a subsidy company and you name it something else. And
Mhm.
then that way you start to build a new brand within the corporate ownership. And it takes me to the story of Chuck E. Cheese that during the pandemic, you could order pizza from a company called Pasquale's.
Okay. Oh,
And
yeah, that was like their animatronic pizza guy, right?
well, I don't know the name of it, but
I spent some
uh,
time in Chuck E. Cheese.
so
We don't talk about
Pasquale's,
it.
like during the pandemic, you could only get Pasquale's delivered. You couldn't go to the store and pick it up. It was only done through like DoorDash or Uber Eats or
Okay.
something like that. It was essentially Chuck E. Cheese pizza. And not essentially, it was Chuck E. Cheese pizza. So Pasquale's was a separate brand um, from CEC Entertainment Inc.
Mhm.
CEC Entertainment is Chuck E.
Chuck E.
Cheese.
Cheese, right.
So sorry, that took me down that rabbit hole of thinking. And I was like, Walmart's going to do something of like Mart Wall.
But that's not the point. Like, the point here is to continue to earn those more affluent customers. So it's about being sticky. Like,
Yeah,
they showed up for the groceries and they made some changes in the store to make it sticky, and now they're gonna buy they're stuck there, now they're gonna buy other things other than groceries there. This whole thing is to just make it even stickier. There's I can start to make that association. I'm more likely to buy something that's not luxury here.
right. Well, and I would say too, uh, most affluent people that have a stupid amount of disposable income, they're not going to buy that from Walmart. They're going to pay the top dollar from the brand itself. I think the people that would use this type of resale market in Walmart, they're still affluent. They still have disposable income, but
They're
they
not so
are
affluent that they're gonna go drop 10K on a bag.
right. But like, hey, they are in it for a good bargain because they don't want to pay top dollar, but they still like nice things.
Yeah. It's an interesting, kind of wrinkle in things. I don't know that I would imagine that if you looked at the demographics of the kind of customers that we're talking about, the ones that Walmart's really kind of trying to get in this manner, uh, they're probably not a younger set of customers.
Right.
And I wonder if like this whole approach is very time bound because I think we've talked about in previous episodes the kind of the generational trend that a younger set one their financial picture looks a certain way, and this kind of stuff is no it's not realistic, it's not within reach. And for that reason and for other really interesting reasons, your Gen Z folks tend to build preferences around vintage as opposed to luxury.
Gen Z or Gen X? Gen
Z,
Z. Okay.
yeah. uh
Too many letters.
that rarity and recognition might be at odds with each other, and that generation prefers the former.
Yeah.
And so, like, your Gen Z folks like aren't in the market for this. And if you believe kind of the cultural indicators, even if they did have the economic wherewithal, they're not interested.
I can see what you're saying. I think like part of me is going, so could it be like a family member or something that's thinking about like the holidays and going, oh, I know niece Sally has been talking about this bag, and I just found it on the Walmart site, and I can get it for a fraction of the cost, and it would be like sweet 16 or graduation part. Oh, I'm going to get that for them because they've been wanting this thing. And so is it more of like a gift repository versus I'm going to go buy this thing for myself? Who knows?
Who knows? But it's an interesting development in the secondhand space. Um, and yeah, again, it's just another kind of volley among the e-commerce giants. For the me and yous of the world, when you have something else to resell, it's another avenue. You will be facing a consignment. Um, but you've got access to, an actual viable marketplace as opposed to hoping you find somebody that's got 8K to sling around on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
But it's interesting. You start to see kind of an evolution of honestly less the business and more the clientele. And I just saw that it was a development that kind of dovetailed with some of what we discuss, and it's one worth kind of keeping an eye on. I feel, uh, but yeah. So some from Workin to actually Birkin. I'm guessing Walmart actually didn't get in trouble with Hermes because now they're gonna digitally anyway carry the genuine article.
Interesting. Well, I look forward to seeing how this either flourishes or burns.
Yes. Yes.
In the spectator sport of life, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, I'm happy to be a passive observer in these sorts of things at this scale. Yeah. So thanks for hearing me out, and we'll see where this goes. Maybe we'll do an update in a few weeks.
Or yeah, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
if Walmart crashes or burns.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how many businesses are still standing.
It'll be fine. This is
Yeah,
fine.
fine.
Everything's
A
fine.
few weeks, we'll say. Okay.
So thanks, Jake.
Okay, Julie. See you.
Bye.